Hey folks, Jayborino here. Welcome back. I got another vlog for you related to Warcraft 3 Reforged, of course. BlizzCon just happened, we got some information. More importantly, separate from BlizzCon, I have some separate information related to visual assets and custom campaigns in Reforged. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm also going to talk about my 2020 channel plans. I talked about this a little bit at the end of my last vlog. I want to get a little more specific because that one was pretty vague. So I have some ideas of where I plan on going in 2020. Nothing super nailed down yet still, but that's how my channel's been, seeing where the wind takes me and what I enjoy to play. All right, so let's get into the Warcraft 3 Reforged related stuff. Now, you can go and check out a plethora of other information regarding the panel. You don't need my commentary on it. I would go and recommend checking out Grubby or Witty Warcraft, people who are a little more ingrained into the Warcraft 3 community as a whole, including Melee. They'll give you probably the best information. And again, you don't need another random person from the peanut gallery chiming in. But what is pertinent to my channel and the stuff that I tend to play are how custom visual assets will carry over, because that was sort of the linchpin on if maps would work seamlessly between the old and new versions of the game. So let me give you some context here. Let's go back to StarCraft Brood War and the transition to StarCraft Remastered. Basically, everything that we consider modded in StarCraft Brood War is not natively supported by the game. Therefore, when Remastered came out, none of this stuff worked in Remastered. And every time Remastered is patched, it basically breaks everything that has been modded to work in StarCraft Remastered. So that's a real pain. And a lot of that has to do with what natively works. A lot of mods that run off of custom executables for StarCraft Brood War run exactly as a Trojan horse virus does. So if you try playing some, you're going to get a notification from Windows Defender or just your operating system or virus scan, what have you, telling you this is a Trojan horse virus, because again, it functions exactly like one. It injects information into the program upon startup. Pretty shady, but that's pretty much what the Brood War modding community is working with in 1.161, and a lot of people have reverted from Remastered to 1.161 for that. Now, I'm a lot more confident regarding Warcraft 3, because a lot of things related to custom visual assets, for example, advanced triggering using JAS, is all natively supported. Therefore, a lot of maps should transfer. Just you open it up in Reforged and it works great. So I've had that assumption for some time. The one thing that I figured would not work are visual assets, and how would that work? Would it break the map entirely? Would it refuse to open? Would it revert to a fundamental base unit? And again, let me go into a bit of detail. So every time a custom unit is created for Warcraft 3 by a content creator, a copy of an existing unit is used as the base unit. So for example, think of a Dwarven Bear Rider. Doesn't exist in the base game. Custom creator wants to make it. To do that, they may copy a Human Knight, for example. So now you have your Human Knight number 2. You rename it to Dwarven Bear Rider, and you overwrite all of its properties and the way it looks that you've created, and then import it into the editor, and it is now in your map in some fashion. So that is how you currently import. That's just a crash course, really elementary explanation of custom visual assets in Warcraft 3. Now, how will that transfer to Reforged? My initial thought, what I've been assuming for the longest time, is when you open a map on Reforged with custom visual assets and you play it with the new updated graphics, you will see the base unit. So for example, in the case of the Bear Riders, you would see a Human Knight. That was my assumption of how it would work. Other alternatives would be they do some odd way to try to translate every single texture into the new texture, which I think would be virtually impossible. And you would just have horrible monstrosities that were automatically created robustly on the fly by the engine. Or the map simply wouldn't work. Again, I think the easy logical assumption is that the units would revert to their base unit. That's just what I figure. Now, I saw this morning a small-time YouTuber had uploaded a version of the original Legends of Arcane map, the first human book. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about this, by the way, I'll save for the end. But let me just talk about the implications this has on Reforged. He uploaded a version of the hacked beta. It's not the real beta. The real beta just supports 1v1 and 2v2 melee maps. But there was a data mined illicit version of the beta that people can use as like an actual version of the game, and you can just open any map you want in it. So he opened a version of the original, again, first human book, first map. So a custom model in that particular instance is Blen Greymore. He's a custom hero. He has custom visual assets, and the map worked. It started, and Blen is there, and it's just his existing unit model. Nothing has changed. It looks bad because of the lighting, but the map doesn't crash. He doesn't revert to another unit. It's just Blen Greymore. Again, visually, it's jarring. It doesn't look right, but it works, and you can just open a map and it works. So that's big news. That means pretty much every existing map with custom visual assets should just work. So the portrait and the model itself are the custom things. And so like the portrait is just going to look like the portrait does now in original Warcraft 3. So that's just for your information. That gives me a lot of confidence. How they've been saying a lot of stuff will transfer in most of the maps. If not all the maps should simply just open up in Reforged and you won't have a problem. Again, it's going to be visually odd, but it'll all work. And so creators may want to, they may want to replace these custom assets so that it's less jarring, but in the meantime, it all does just work. So that's a big positive, and that's why I'm more confident about this than I was with Remastered. The Blizzard community, just real-time strategy in general, honestly, is a very dour group, right? And everyone is very cynical. So, I have to say, I'm actually confident about this. I'm not too pleased about the lack of specific features or communication about specific features. With Reforged in general, I think there's a lot of things that I wish would be coming out with release, and it seems like there's going to be a big post-release docket. I don't really need to get into that. You can, again, look that stuff up yourself. That's just news from BlizzCon. Everyone can see, and you don't need me talking about it more and more and more. So yeah, there's issues that I'm a bit disappointed with Reforged, and that's why I say if you're unsure about something, never pre-order. Never pre-order if you're not sure, especially if you think the hype's getting the better of you. I pre-ordered because I knew I would be playing it on my channel no matter how good or bad it is. I have the disposable income to do so, but I would never recommend anyone else pre-order ever. I'm typically pretty opposed to pre-ordering and early access in general, and there are only very specific games I would partake in. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is this Legends of Arcane First Human Book issue. Now, in order for that map to be playable in this beta, would have been for this person to have removed the map from the campaign and edit it such that it would work, because the map would not natively work, even in original Warcraft 3, without modifications. So he had to have changed something for it to be workable in a standalone fashion and then play it through this crappy fake beta. Shardundred was not pleased with that, and I really can't blame him. Oh, hey, Coco. There she is. Thanks for joining me, girly. So part of the issue is he doesn't want other people modifying his work and then releasing it. And again, I don't blame him. Part of the response that I saw when he complained about this, though, was that he just doesn't like Reforged and he just refuses to allow his maps to work in Reforged. Frankly, I feel this issue has nothing to do with people's individual enjoyment of Reforged or excitement about Reforged. They are his maps, and we can argue fair use. It's not about the legality. It's just simply about respecting a creator's wishes. If they don't give you permission to use their stuff, again, you legally still might be able to, but that doesn't mean you should. So I would just say, make sure you have permission before you do something like this. I think this is a very specific issue only because of this weird, oddly obtained beta in general requiring this to work. In theory, when Reforged is released, you could just import the campaign file as it exists and it would open. And I really have no opinion on how people use things then. But if a creator specifically asks you not to use their work in a specific way, I just don't think you should. I think that's just basic decency. So that's my opinion on that. I don't know if you all want to leave your thoughts down below. And I'm not trying to put a spotlight on Shardundred in this specific case, because it could have been anybody. And it's disappointing the means that we got the information, but the information we got was important regarding the visual assets, which I've already gone over. So I did want to share that with you, and also my thoughts again on the whole, morality issue of, don't take people's work and then edit it and then re-release it, even though it seems relatively harmless to everyone else. And I understand a lot of people say, hey, it's not a big deal. It's really not. it's not really your decision on if it's a big deal or not, I suppose, in this case, and there's a plethora of other maps that could be used. So just make sure you ask for permission. And I also think this is going to be a very contained thing because, again, once the game is released, things shouldn't have to be modified in general. Now, I'm going to transition over to channel updates that I want to talk about a bit, my 2020 roadmap, and I'll stick with Warcraft 3 for now. I see no shortage of existing Warcraft 3 content. There's a lot of old stuff that I was concerned wouldn't work in Reforged. Based on what I see here, it looks like I can just play with the old graphics and there shouldn't be any issues because, again, everything should work in the new graphics regardless. And then if it looks terrible, I'll just still play it in the old graphics, which I will likely do for a lot of existing campaigns. So I'm not concerned about having any growing pains when the game is released regarding any ongoing series. But if I start a series in the original Warcraft 3 and then Reforged is released, I will likely finish that series in the original graphics, as you can imagine. In fact, most of my ongoing series will be still in the original, I'm sure. And I'll make sure to check to see, what creators have to say. Some campaigns are so old and these creators are long gone, they don't have anything to say on the matter in any case. So Warcraft 3 is going to continue. I've got 2 videos a week. And the game itself is being released in December. They really stuck to saying it's going to be 2019. I want to replay the campaigns. I may stream them. Or I'll just make videos maybe just for like the whole campaign rather than one video per mission like I did for this most recent 1.31 playthrough. I'm excited to give it a shot. I'm sure some stuff is going to be different. It looks like they're rolling back some of the cinematic-related changes that they made. We don't know why they're rolling those back. At first glance, my first thought is, I'm disappointed. I wish they would have changed more. But, if they were crappy and they didn't meet, they didn't test well or what have you, then I'm kind of glad that they're not releasing them. But we don't know the reason. So, again, it's both good and bad. We just don't know. Would have been nice to see what they were working on, but I guess we never will, unless it's something they change in the future. Regardless, I will replay the campaigns, but I do have a lot of travel coming up. Holidays here, we've got American Thanksgiving. I'm traveling for work. Then it's Christmas. Then it's New Year's, which I travel for. And then I'm going on a vacation very early in January. So that's a lot of travel over the next 2 months. I have Mapperino ending, which is going to be my main priority. And I really want to play those maps. And again, if I can only play one thing, it's going to be the Mapperino submissions. And I already have 10. Very excited about it. There's still 3-4 weeks. I think 3 weeks. So I'm assuming we're going to get plenty more. So that's going to be my top priority. But when Reforged is released again, it's just bad timing for me at this point in the year. I don't do full time. I just can't. I'm not going to not go see my family for a holiday because Reforged drops and I want to get videos out. So I'm 31. I'm not staying up all night like I did for Legacy of the Void. Also, Reforged is not a new game. It's an existing game with a new coat of paint. So it's to me, it's not really worth trying to rush out videos. I'm not too concerned about the search optimization or anything like that. It's fine if I'm not first to market. I'll play this stuff eventually and we'll transition in nicely, but don't expect a flood of Reforged content right away simply because it's just a very busy time of the year for me, both with work and personal life traveling. So that's just the way it is. Moving on, I want to talk about 2020. Again, Warcraft 3 is going to be a plethora of things to play after we get through the updated campaigns. So that's just going to, as we find new custom campaigns to play, I got a big old list I keep referring to every time I need a new project, and we're just going to keep bombing through those. There's a lot. So no worries there, and that's not changing. StarCraft 2, I've got 2 or 3 campaigns on the docket that should take me through considerably into early 2020. I'm going to play the follow-up to Road with Destiny. I think it's called Shadow of the Past. Looks pretty cool. Road with Destiny was really well done. So after we finish Quagmire, I'm going to move to Shadow of the Past. I believe Adriano's released the final campaign of his Noir series, so I'll probably check that out as well. And Enslaver's Redux has perpetually been on my list to play, but it is very buggy, and I just keep waiting for a new version to fix a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to check to see what the next version holds, and eventually I'll get to that. Very lore-heavy and looks really fun with a lot of bank data utilized, which big thumbs up for me. I want to see more people utilize bank data and player choice, both narratively and in the gameplay. Could be cool. Speaking of Legends of Arcane, does a great job with those things. Okay, so that's StarCraft 2, and there are still some great gems from Brood War, like old modded campaigns that I want to check out, so I will be bringing those back. I don't know exactly when, but I will bring back Brood War series, and I've sort of been an on-again, off-again relationship with Brood War. I think it's good to take breaks from that game. It gets very repetitive for me, so I plan to, again, definitely get back to it. It's not gone for sure, but I can't say exactly when. It really depends on, again, how Reforged content is going and any other series I start, because what I'm going to say next may lead to some new cool stuff. It may not, I don't know. Last time I talked about checking out some older RTS titles. My channel is not exclusively real-time strategy, but I play a lot of real-time strategy, obviously. So I think it's worthwhile to check back at our roots, some of the older games. Obviously, I still want to play Beyond the Dark Portal. And I talked about Total Annihilation, and a lot of you in my last vlog gave me a huge list of recommendations, which I really appreciate. I did note those down. They're not prioritized in any way, but I'm going to check them out and kind of pick some out. And I may not do whole series through entire games, but I'm going to check them out, get them into a recordable state, play a couple missions, and then decide, okay, well, that was a nice showcase, or let's see it through because I really enjoy this. And we'll see. We'll play that on a kind of a case-by-case basis. So that's something I want to branch into in 2020. And the other thing, too, is my channel is really about single-player modded community content, right? So single-player co-op, what have you. It's player versus environment, player versus AI. So I kind of want to see what other game communities have to offer in that front. And I think the OG community that exists there is Doom. And I've talked about this on my Discord. I brought it up several times. I'm thinking about getting into the Doom community to learn what they've got to offer. And I've said it enough times. I think I should actually do it next year. As we bring our Command & Conquer original playthroughs to a close over the next several months, I'm going to have some open days. I'm not going to take over the Warcraft, StarCraft content. That is my core content that I enjoy playing, so I'm not going to replace that. But I am going to use some open slots in my schedule to try some new stuff. That's what I did with Command & Conquer, so let's get a little more drastic with it, I suppose, and try something brand new. And I understand that's not going to land for everyone, but again, what you probably are watching now is still going to be here, and I'll just be trying some different stuff, because again, there's so many interesting things that the Doom community has done, and I just kind of want to dive into it and see what's there. Find a good starting spot and just tinker around. And again, it's hard to say if this is something I'll stick with. There's a lot of other modding communities that are pretty large. Age of Empires is one that comes to mind because it's real-time strategy and there's a big community centered around it that's made custom content. So I don't understand a lot of what's happening in these communities, what the requirements are to make these things, how to play these things, how new remasters might mess up old things. These are things I need to dive into communities to learn, and it's going to take time. And I want to do that for something new. Again, I think I would start with Doom, even though it's a totally different genre. But Age of Empires is the other thing that comes to mind. Skyrim is another one, but I honestly just don't want to play Skyrim. So that's kind of how I'm setting my criteria here. So it's stuff that it's either a genre or community content, so it fits in my channel, and then is it a game that I give a shit about, and then I'll go from there. So that's where I plan on going in 2020. The message is basically the core stuff that you probably are enjoying is going to stay, and Reforged may bring more. It definitely will bring more, but I don't know in what way because the game hasn't come out yet. The community hasn't reacted yet. We'll see. But on top of that, again, I'd like to take a bit of a turn into something new. And I can't nail down exactly what that's going to be. I've talked about Doom a lot, and I feel like just saying it aloud to you all here and releasing this video to the wild is a soft commitment for me that I'll actually follow through and do it. So I am excited to check that out, and we'll give it a shot. All right. So that's the roadmap for 2020. By the way, I did ask my channel members, which you see the little join button down below. It's like a Twitch subscriber, essentially. If you are so inclined, you can join. You get access to posts of Coco. Can't really see her now because she's laying down. But I occasionally have Q&As, and I ask them for ideas for new series. And that's where I take a lot of new ideas from that I note down for sure. So again, if you are so inclined and you think that you could support me, I appreciate it. Obviously, don't do it if you can't afford it, or if you don't have disposable income, don't even think about it, right? So don't even consider it. Not begging for patrons or anything like that here. I'm just letting you know it exists. I'd really appreciate it, again, if you could afford it, to compensate me for my time. That's pretty much it. But otherwise, I enjoy doing this, and I would do it if I wasn't getting paid at all. Okay, that was neither here nor there, and I am going to take off now. So thanks, everyone, for watching. Say goodbye, Coco. I saw her ear move a little bit. She acknowledged my presence. She's a lazy dog. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Bye now.